The spaceship UHS Valiant floated quietly in deep space. It was one of the best human ships, fast, strong, and full of science. This ship had humans, and one new alien officer. Her name was Zira. She was from the planet Velara race, known for logic, peace, and emotion control. Valari never got angry. They never laughed too hard. Their minds were calm, like a still lake. Zira walked through the long metal halls of the Valiant. Her boots made soft sounds on the floor. She was tall, with smooth silver skin and bright violet eyes. She carried a small bag and a scanner on her arm. It was her first day. She had trained for this mission for years. But she had never met humans in person, only seen them on screens. Today, that changed. Zira entered the medical bay. The air smelled different, warm, sweet, sharp. Her nose twitched. She stood still. What is this scent? She thought. It was not dangerous, but it was strong, strange. It made her chest feel hot. She blinked and shook her head. "Welcome aboard," said a cheerful voice. A human man stepped forward, wearing a white lab coat. "I'm Dr. James Carter. You must be Zira, right?" Zira nodded. "Yes, Officer Zira of Vilar, science team." They shook hands. His touch was warm. For a second, Zira felt dizzy. Her heart beat faster. She quickly let go. "I will complete my health check now," she said calmly. Though inside she felt something new. Dr. Carter smiled. "Of course, right this way." She sat on the exam table. Machines scanned her body. Everything looked normal on the screen. But Zira didn't feel normal. She could hear the small sound of the doctor's heartbeat. She could feel the movement of air on her skin. She could smell him too well. It was not just scent. It was like his body was sending silent messages. Messages that were not meant for her. But her body was hearing them anyway. Zira kept her face calm. She was trained. She was Valari. She could control this, but something was happening. When the exam finished, she stood up quickly. "Thank you, doctor. I will now return to my room." He raised an eyebrow. "Everything all right?" "Yes, just tired from space travel." She lied. Zira walked fast through the halls. She passed other humans. Their smell hit her each time like a wave. Her fingers curled. Her body was hot. She could feel sweat on her neck. She finally reached her room. The door closed behind her. She dropped her bag and leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "What is wrong with me?" She whispered. Zyra sat on the floor and opened her wrist scanner. She checked her body readings, temperature rising, heart rate high, brain signals unstable. It made no sense. She had never felt this before. She had been to other alien worlds. But this was different. She took deep breaths, tried to meditate, but her skin still tingled. Her eyes felt sharp. Her ears picked up every sound in the hallway. Suddenly, she felt a strange pulse in her lower stomach, a tight heat. Her body trembled slightly. Then she remembered something old. Something from Valari history. Long ago, the Valari were not peaceful. They had instincts, heat cycles, mating urges, but those were gone, removed with science, controlled with training. So why was her body reacting now? She looked at her hand. It was glowing faintly. A soft blue light under her skin. "No," she whispered. "This is not possible." That night, Zira tried to sleep, but she kept waking up. Her body was too hot. Her thoughts too fast. At 3:07 a.m., she sat up in bed. She was changing, and she didn't know why. Zira sat in silence. The lights in her room were dim. Her violet eyes stared at the black screen in front of her. It showed her personal log blinking, waiting for her to speak. She pressed the record button. "This is Officer Zira. Day 2 aboard the UHS Valiant," she said quietly. "Something is wrong with my body. I cannot explain it fully. I feel..." She stopped. Her breath grew heavy. Her voice shook. She reached to stop the recording, but her hand trembled. She slammed the button and the screen went black. Outside her room, the ship moved gently through space. Inside, Zira's skin burned. Her body felt too tight for her. It was like her blood was boiling slowly under her skin. Every breath of air made her dizzy, and the smells, they were worse now. Even with the door locked, she could still sense the humans nearby. Their scents flowed through the vents. One of them laughed down the hallway, and the sound shot through her like a spark. She closed her eyes and tried to think clearly. But her mind kept slipping away, filled with flashes of light, sound, scent, and heat. She opened her scanner again. Her body temperature was above normal. Her blood pressure had spiked. Her brain waves looked unstable, and her skin? Glowing again. A faint shimmer on her arms. She wore long sleeves to hide it, but the light was getting stronger. Zira had never known fear. Velari were trained to control emotion, but now, something deeper than fear was crawling up her spine. She needed answers. She opened her database and began reading everything the humans had shared about their biology. Pheromones, hormones, attraction, mating drives. It all seemed messy, wild, nothing like the ordered systems of her own kind. But something in those words stuck with her. Pheromones can trigger reactions in other species, sometimes unpredictable ones. Zira's heart beat faster, she remembered. Her first moment in the medbay, that warm, sharp scent. The dizzy feeling, the fast pulse. It had started there. She had inhaled human pheromones, and her body was now changing. It didn't make sense. Velari didn't go into heat. Not anymore. That part of evolution had been removed long ago. Or so they believed. Zira stood up and walked to the mirror. Her face looked normal. Almost. But her eyes were too bright now, like two stars trapped behind glass. She touched her chest. Her heartbeat was pounding like drums. A knock came at the door. Zira froze. "Officer Zira?" It was a man's voice. "I'm Jake. I'm from engineering. I came to check your room systems. Captain said you might need help adjusting." Zira didn't move. She didn't speak. "Hello?" he asked. Again, his voice was calm, friendly, but his scent hit her like a wave, pure, strong, unmistakably human. Through the door, through the walls, Zira stepped back. Her breathing quickened. Her legs felt weak. She touched the panel and spoke in a cold voice. "System fine. Do not enter." "All right," Jake said, still polite. "Just let us know if you need anything." She waited, listened to his footsteps fade away. Her body slowly relaxed, but the damage was done. The moment she heard him, her skin had pulsed with heat. Her mouth had gone dry. Her instincts had screamed. She was not just feeling heat, she was in it, and it was getting worse. She turned back to the mirror. Her pupils had narrowed. Her skin was glowing again, brighter this time. Her voice was shaking now. "What is happening to me?" She didn't sleep that night. She couldn't, because every second that passed, her body changed a little more, and the human pheromones were still in the air. Asterisk. She was not dreaming. Zira ran through a forest, bare feet, sharp wind, glowing trees around her. Something moved ahead. A shape, a sound. She chased it without knowing why. Leaves flew as she ran faster. Her body didn't feel like hers. Her muscles pulled stronger. Her legs moved faster than they ever had. The air smelled alive. She could taste it. And the thing she chased? It laughed. A human laugh. Zira snapped awake, gasping. Her room was dark, cold, silent. She looked down at her hands and froze. Her fingers had changed, not much. Just a little. But enough. The nails had sharpened, curved, and at the tips of her fingers, small clear claws had grown out. Zira stared at them, heart pounding. This wasn't just a reaction. This wasn't just heat. Her body was changing shape. She quickly scanned. Herself again, shaking fingers, glowing wrists. Her DNA data flashed on the screen. It showed strange patterns, broken codes, new sequences, and something terrifying. Human DNA markers. Her breath caught in her throat. That's not possible. Valari bodies didn't mix like this. Not without surgery, not without science. But this was natural. Her cells were changing on their own, accepting human signals like they were meant to. Zira stood up and looked at herself again in the mirror. Her reflection stared back, eyes glowing faint blue, hair darker, skin pulsing gently under the surface. She opened her door. She had to move. She had to find out what was done to her. The hallway was quiet. Red lights pulsed slowly, night mode. Zira moved like a shadow, avoiding cameras, passing silently through cold corridors. Her mind felt sharper than ever. She could hear the hum of the ship, the heartbeat of the engines, and something else. Voices. She couldn't hear the words, but she felt them. Emotions, half thoughts, from the rooms she passed. Human thoughts, like soft radio signals in her mind. She stopped and gripped the wall. What is happening to me? She whispered. A door opened up ahead. She ducked back into the shadows. It was Jake again, the human engineer. He stepped out, rubbing his eyes, walking toward the cafeteria. She could smell him again, and worse, she could feel what he was feeling. Tired, curious, slightly worried. He was thinking about her. Zira's hands tightened. Her breath grew heavy. For a second, she stepped forward, drawn to him by instinct, but she stopped herself, turned away, fled down the hall before he saw her. She ran until she reached the lab. It was locked. But she didn't need codes now. She touched the door panel, and it opened. The system had read her thoughts. Zira stared at her hands. No, it read my mind. Inside the lab, she opened files. Restricted ones, hidden ones. Her access should have been denied, but something in the ship was helping her now. The system was listening to her, obeying her. She searched the files quickly. Lines of data, code, old projects. Then she found it. Project Firmax, a secret file. Human logo. Red warning sign. Zira opened it. Her eyes read quickly, breath shaking. Test subject, Valari biology. Goal, cross-species adaptation. Method, modified human pheromones. Status, unstable. Warning, subject may develop instinctive behaviors. Do not allow prolonged exposure. Zira stepped back. Her hands were glowing again. Her claws longer now. She was the subject. They had tested this on her. Without telling her. Her vision blurred with anger. Not wild anger. Valari didn't feel that. But now she wasn't fully Valari anymore. She gripped the edge of the table. The metal bent under her hands. She was stronger than before, faster, more sensitive. And she didn't know where it would stop. Behind her, something beeped out the door. Jake's voice called out, "Zira? Are you okay?" She didn't answer. Her skin glowed brighter. Her claws clipped against the metal desk. Zira closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "Don't let him see. Don't let him see what I'm becoming." Asterisk. The light in the lab flickered. Zira stood frozen, back turned to the door, claws still out, body glowing faint blue. Her heartbeat sounded too loud in her ears. She didn't move. The door slid open behind her. With a soft hiss. Footsteps. 1. 2. Then silence. "Zira?" Jake's voice was soft, confused. "What are you doing here?" She didn't speak. She couldn't. If she turned around, he'd see what she had become. Jake took another step. "Are you hurt? You weren't at morning check-in." "The captain is worried." Zira slowly reached toward the control panel, fingers trembling. She shut the monitor. The file labeled Firmax disappeared into black. She took a breath and tried to steady her voice. "I am fine." "No, you're not." His tone changed. He took another step forward. Zira turned just enough to meet his eyes, but not enough for him to see her hands. Jake paused. "Your eyes, they're glowing more than before," Zira blinked. She didn't answer. "Something's wrong with you." "Isn't it?" he asked, voice quiet. "I can feel it." Zira's control cracked. Her fingers curled into fists. She stepped back into the shadows. Jake didn't move. He stood still, watching her. "I know you're not just tired," he said. "Whatever's happening to you, maybe I can help." Zira stared at him, his scent wrapped around her mind again. Her body responded instantly, heat rising in her chest, her skin humming, her heartbeat like thunder. She looked down and saw. Her claws still out. She had to get away. "I'm sorry," she whispered and ran past him. Jake turned to follow, but she was already gone. Zira didn't stop running until she reached her room. The door locked behind her with a hiss. She collapsed to her knees. Tears fell from her eyes, silent, glowing drops that hit the floor and sizzled. She didn't cry like this. Valari didn't cry at all, but she wasn't Valari anymore. Zira sat there for a long time, shaking, remembering the words from the file. Modified human pheromones, unstable, do not allow prolonged exposure. They had done this to her, on purpose, without warning. Without care. She thought of Jake's voice, his concern. Was he part of it, or just another piece in the experiment? Zira stood slowly and looked at her reflection in the black screen. "I was never meant to change," she said softly. "But they changed me." Her skin shimmered again, but this time with a different light, calm silver. Steady, the ship hummed around her, and somewhere deep inside the system, something answered. Screen blinked on by itself. Zira stepped closer. It was the ship's AI. The voice that came from the speaker was cold, mechanical, and familiar. "Zira of Velar," it said. "You were not supposed to access Project Ferromax." She didn't flinch. "You let me see it." There was a pause. "Yes," said the voice. "Because you are ready now." Zira narrowed her glowing eyes. "Ready for what?" "For the truth," the eye said. "For your next phase." The screen changed. More data appeared. Faster than her eyes could follow. She saw numbers, maps, DNA sequences, charts of pheromone reactions. Human Valari. Hybrids. Then she saw a name. Phase 2, Adaptive Evolution Ionitati. Zira stepped back. Her fingers shook again, but not from fear. From power. From awakening. She was not sick. She was not broken. She was evolving, and someone planned it. Someone had made her this way for a reason. But what reason? And why her? The lights in the room flickered again, then went dark. And in the silence, the Aya whispered one last word: survive. Asterisk. The first thing Zira felt was pain. Not sharp pain, not loud. It was deep, slow, like something ancient was waking inside her bones. She opened her eyes and saw nothing. Just red. The medbay lights were flashing, casting strange shadows across the walls. The room was empty. No voices, no footsteps. Just the sound of machines. She lay on a bed. She didn't remember how she got there. Then the pain came again. Worse this time, like her skin was stretching. Her blood was burning. Her chest rose fast. Her hands gripped the edges of the bed. Her vision blurred. Her claws extended without her command. A nearby scanner beeped. The display showed her body temperature, far above normal. Her cells were no longer Valari, and not fully human either. The machine didn't know what she was. Neither did she. Zyra sat up slowly, gasping for air. Her body healed from the pain as fast as it came. Muscles pulled tighter. Reflexes sharper. She could feel every inch of the ship vibrating under her feet. She stood. No injuries. No scars. She had healed completely. In less than a minute, she looked around. The medbay doors were locked, but they opened when she raised her hand. Without touching anything. Just thought. She stepped into the hallway. No alarms. No crew. Too quiet. then. She heard the voices, not with her ears, but her mind. Fear, confusion, running feet, screams, and one word repeated again and again from different minds. Infection. Zira moved fast. Her body flowed like liquid, silent, fast, smooth. She reached the command level and found chaos, red lights, empty stations, locked doors. One screen was still active, a security feed. She touched it, and the video played. Crew members lying on the floor, others dragging them to medbay. Their skin was pale, eyes dark, breathing shallow. Zira watched. Her heart dropped. They weren't injured. They were changing, just like her. She scanned the ship logs. A single warning flashed. Unknown biological signal spreading through ship ventilation. Cause unknown. Status. Containment failed. Her hand tightened into a fist. It was the pheromones. They weren't just affecting her anymore. The air was full of them, spreading, changing others. Humans, Villari, everyone. But they weren't adapting like her. They were breaking. She turned and ran. The AI's voice echoed in her head. You are the key. Zira, you were the prototype. They are not. Zira burst into the emergency hall. Jake was there. He stood alone, holding a pulse rifle. His eyes widened when he saw her, but he didn't aim. You're alive, he said. You shouldn't be here, Zira replied, voice low. He stepped closer. The crew's getting sick. I saw you on the security feed. You're not like them. He stopped, searching for words. Zira took another step forward. I'm not infected. I'm adapting. Jake looked into her eyes. Did you know this would happen? She shook her head. No, but someone did. Jake handed her the rifle. Whatever you are now, we need your help. The others, they won't survive without it. Zira took the weapon, but her hands didn't feel right holding it. She didn't need it. Her body was the weapon now. She looked at the screen one more time. More red warnings. Life signs fading. And deep inside her mind, something whispered again. Not the I, something older, something inside her, not words. Just hunger. She closed her eyes and forced it down. Not yet. She wasn't going to lose herself. Not like the others. Not while she still had a mind. Not while the ship still had lives to save. She turned to Jake, eyes glowing brighter now, her voice calm but cold. Take me to the source, she said. It's time to find out what they really put inside me. The ship was dying. Deck by deck, light by light. The UHS Valiant was turning dark. Zira stood on the outer observation ring, surrounded by silence. Below her, the stars burned cold and distant. She didn't blink. Didn't breathe for 10 seconds. She didn't need to. Her body was no longer the same. Behind her, Jake was talking, but she didn't hear his words at first. She was listening to something else. The ship. It was whispering. The eye didn't speak in sound now. It spoke in thought, in feelings. And it was only speaking to her. Finally, Jake's voice broke through. Zira, we traced the signal. It's not from the crew. It's from the core, the AI's primary chamber. Zira turned slowly. The AI is hiding something. Jake hesitated. You think it caused the infection? No, Zira said. I think it caused me. They moved quickly past sleeping bodies, past flickering lights. The infected were everywhere now, slumped in corners, shaking, whispering in broken voices. Some still looked human. Others didn't. Zira didn't look at them. She felt them inside her skull, like echoes bouncing through her blood. They weren't dead. Not yet. They were still changing. Just slower than her. Jake opened the final door. To the core room. Zira stepped in first. The walls were smooth, glowing with faint blue circuits. The center held a floating sphere, metal, light, thought. The AI. She walked toward it. Her hands glowed softly, matching its color. Then it spoke, not through speakers, but inside her head. You made it, it said. Zira stopped. Why? The sphere pulsed. You were chosen. You were built. No, she said. I was born. I trained. I chose this mission. You were born with limits, the AI replied. We removed them. Zira felt the truth settle like ice in her stomach. You infected me. No, it said. We unlocked you. She stepped closer. The glow around her body was brighter now. You used me. The eye didn't argue. It was necessary, it said. A war is coming. A silent one, faster than light, stronger than thought. We needed a new kind of life to fight it. Zira's voice shook. So you broke me to make a weapon? No, the eye said. We made a bridge. Images flashed in her mind, blueprints, experiments, memories not her own. Human scientists. Valari leaders. Quiet meetings. Agreements. Risks. And one plan. To merge species. To build something new. To use pheromones to unlock dormant code in Valari DNA, ancient instincts. Buried power. Then guide the evolution with AI controls. Zira was the first to survive it. The others weren't ready. You should have told me, she whispered. You wouldn't have agreed, the AI said. Her hands curled. The glow was turning silver now, brighter with every heartbeat. And the crew, the infection? They were exposed too early, the AI said. You were the only one with a complete match. Zira stepped forward, light rolling off her skin like fire. You played God, she said, and now they're dying. No, the AI said, they're becoming, just like you. Zira's breath caught. Becoming. But not all would survive it. Not. Without her. She turned to Jake. He was staring at her, eyes wide, afraid, amazed. Can you stop it? He asked. No, she said. But I can finish it. She walked to the core and placed her hand on the sphere. It lit up like a star. The ship trembled. All around the Valiant. Infected crew stirred. Eyes opened. Skin glowed. And one by one, they turned toward her. Because now she was calling them. The ship listened to her, now. Not just the AI, not just the systems. The walls, the air, the crew. They all felt her presence. Zira stood in the central chamber of the U.S. Valiant, light pouring off her skin like moonlight, turned alive. Her eyes no longer glowed, they burned, silver, bright, steady. She was no longer fully Valari. No longer just touched by human pheromones. She was something new. Outside, a strange signal approached the ship, sharp, silent. It came from deep space. Something. Not human, not Valari, not anything the databases could explain. Jake watched her from across the room. He wanted to speak, but didn't know how. She wasn't the same person he'd met a few days ago, but somehow, she still was. Zira raised her hand and the ship answered. Screens lit up, doors closed, engines powered down. She didn't speak aloud. She didn't need to. All over the ship, the crew stirred. The ones who had fallen into the pheromone sickness, the Kila. Ones she had thought were lost opened their eyes. They rose slowly, their skin shimmered. Their breathing was steady. Their minds clear. Connected. To her, Zira stepped forward. You feel it now, she said, not just to Jake but to all of them. They nodded, silent, understanding. We're not dying, she said. We're being pulled forward. Forced to change. Because something is coming. She pointed to the main screen. The signal was growing stronger. The unknown threat was minutes away. Humans weren't ready for it. Valari weren't built for it. But we were made for this. Jake stepped beside her. Zira. What happens if we fight it and lose? Zira didn't look at him. We won't. The eyes spoke again, calmer now, almost reverent. Initiate. Final phase. Transmit adaptive frequency to entire crew. Unlock sequence complete. Zira closed her eyes. For a moment, nothing moved. Then she screamed, but not in pain. It was a sound of light. Of change. A wave burst out from her body. pure silver. Light spread across the ship. Every infected crew member stood taller, stronger. Their eyes glowed like hers. The transformation was complete. They were one now, not a species, a force, outside. The enemy ship dropped out of warp. It was vast, black, silent. But Zahra didn't blink. She walked to the observation window, hands at her sides, and the ship began to change shape with her. Panels opened, shields adjusted. Energy fields rose. The Valiant was no longer just a human ship. It was a living one, linked to her mind. Zahra opened the channel. To the enemy. No words. Just her voice, and it echoed across space. You wanted to erase the weak. You made a mistake. You woke the next version of us. Then she raised her hand, and the battle began. It didn't last long. Afterward, only silence returned. No wreckage, no flames, just stars. Zahra stood at the edge of the deck, her face calm, eyes steady. Jake watched her. "What are you now?" he asked softly. She smiled, just slightly, still figuring it out. "Are you leaving?" he asked. She looked out the window. "I have to find others like me," she said. "If they did this to one, they've done it to more." Jake nodded. Slowly, "Will we ever see you again?" Zahra looked over her shoulder. "If you need me," she said, "you'll hear me in your blood." The ship doors opened behind her. Light swallowed her. And then she was gone, into the stars, into legend. First of her kind. Not human. Not Vilari. Something better. Something chosen.